Let's jump right in. Read books about writing. You think, wow, all these famous writers and editors just wrote down exactly how they do it. This is pretty easy. I'll just read these and figure it out. So you read On Writing by Stephen King, or Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott, Save the Cat by Blake Snyder, Elements of Style by Strunk and White, Writing Down the Bones by Natalie Goldberg, Consider This by Chuck Palahniuk, The Anatomy of Story by John Truby, or even our book, The Story Grid by Shawn Coyne. And you do learn some stuff about story structure and process and ideas around plot and how to get up every morning and get your writing done. But in the end, it's like sitting in a classroom to learn how to swim. I can teach you everything about swimming. I can draw diagrams on the chalkboard. I can have people come in and speak. I can show you everything about how to do it. I could even hire 23-time Olympic gold medalist Michael Phelps to come in and teach you everything he knows about how to swim. But then what is going to happen when you get into the pool for the first time? You're going to sink right to the bottom. You're going to drown. It turns out simply learning about something isn't enough to actually learn how to do it. Number 5. So then we come across these masterclasses taught by famous authors. You start finding all these online videos from famous writers like James Patterson, R.L. Stine, Amy Tan, Margaret Atwood, Malcolm Gladwell, Dan Brown, David Baldacci, and dozens of others. Oh, this will fix it, you think. These famous writers will just tell me how they do it, and then I'll be able to do it. This is way better than books because they're going to teach me directly. Well, turns out that doesn't work either. But why? Why doesn't this work? Let me ask you a question. Why did Tiger Woods have a golf coach? Through most of his career, both amateur and professional, Tiger Woods had a golf coach. At first, what the hell? I mean, if these guys were so good, why aren't they out winning the Masters? But being able to coach something is completely different from being able to actually do it. Most writers don't understand how they do what they do. 90% of what they're doing is intuitive. They don't understand how they do it. They just do it. But if you ask them how they do it, they will do their best to explain it and talk through it, but it's not helpful. It's like getting a recipe for making your favorite spicy gingerbread, but all the important bits are redacted. Sure, maybe eventually you can piece together something helpful, but it's never going to get you to anything that's actually working. Number 4, take an online course. Instead of trying to piece it all together yourself with books and author trainings, you just take an online course that promises to walk you through planning out and writing your novel. So you sign up, do all the worksheets, go through all the steps, show up for all the Zoom calls, and sure enough, at the end, you have a map. You've plotted out your book. You're good to go, right? You have everything you need. Well, turns out this is kind of like planning out an epic road trip. You decide I'm going to go all the way from Los Angeles, California on the west coast of the United States, all the way to Times Square in New York City on the east side. And you plan out this amazing road trip. You're going to stop at all the coolest hotels, see all the sights, and have an amazing time. The only problem is you immediately, before you leave your neighborhood, you put the car in the ditch because you realize, oh, I planned out this epic road trip, but I don't even know how to drive a car. And this is what happens when you plot out an entire novel and then start writing. At some point along the way, you feel this isn't working. Even if you get to the end and you type the end, you realize when you go back, it wasn't working from page 1. Number 3, you decide I'm going to join a writer's group. You remember reading about the Inklings that had J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis in it, and they wrote these huge, amazing bestsellers that still sell to this day. And then a more modern writers group like Dangerous Writers with Cheryl Strayed and Chuck Palahniuk. And you think, okay, this is what I need. I need to join a writers group. So you do, you join. You turn in your writing every week, hoping to get some useful feedback. Then you get subjective, conflicting, and vague feedback. And then you're forced to give feedback too, even though you don't know what you're doing either. So you try to be helpful, but you end up giving vague, subjective, and conflicting feedback. And over time, it gets frustrating. People stop showing up, or they keep showing up, but they don't share their writing. They just like critiquing everyone else's. And this isn't getting you any closer to your dream of actually becoming a great writer. Number two, you decide, I'm just going to write my book. Put it on a deadline, 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, whatever. I'm just going to bang out this novel. I've been thinking about this novel since I was a kid. I'm just going to sit down and write it. That's what everyone says to do anyway. Just get it done. Write your novel. Don't let anyone tell you you're doing it wrong. You know your story, just write it down. Well, this is kind of like saying, oh, you've never played the guitar before? That's fine. Just pick one up and start playing Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. No problem. Only it doesn't work that way. Sure, you can get the guitar to make some noise, you can call that noise a song, but in the end, it's not really music. Just like you can sit down and type words that form sentences, but in the end, it's not a story, it's not readable. So if you do this, you can bang out a bunch of words and get to write the end, but it's nothing editable or publishable, and you definitely haven't got better at the actual skill of writing because turns out learning to write is a skill just like learning to play the guitar or woodworking or dancing. Number one, so you decide, let's simplify. We've been making this too hard. And you think about that quote from Stephen King. He says, if you want to be a writer, you must do two things above all others: read a lot and write a lot. So you decide, I'm going to start writing 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 words a day, come hell or high water. So you start getting up early to start writing and getting your words in. And you do this. You do this day after day after day, getting the words in, thinking, hey, practice makes perfect. Only you realize it's not practice that makes perfect, it's perfect practice that makes perfect. And so you get all of this writing done, but in the end, you feel like, oh, I'm in the same spot. It's still not working. And you realize pretty quickly, with all of this conventional wisdom and advice about how to learn how to write, you really are just wandering in the woods, hoping that if you stick with it and keep wandering, you'll eventually find your way out to the other side. So, what does work? If all of this conventional wisdom about how to learn how to write doesn't actually work, is there anything out there? So, sure enough, as with many things, science has already figured this out. So there was this professor of psychology at Florida State University named Dr. K. Anders Erickson, and he's looking around at all of these people that are experts at what they do across music, sports, creativity, and he starts wondering, how do they get so good? And after many years of study, he discovered this thing he calls deliberate practice. This is how you learn a complex skill, and it goes against everything we've been taught about how to learn how to write. So, what is deliberate practice? Deliberate practice is a highly structured and goal oriented form of practice designed specifically to improve performance. It's not just repetition for the sake of it, it's strategic, difficult, and focused on measurable improvement. According to the American Psychological Association, the purpose of deliberate practice is to achieve high levels of expert performance. Studies also show that due to deliberate practice, an individual will experience high achievement. So, how does it work? How does deliberate practice work? Well, first thing you notice is that everybody has to separate practice from performance. Now, across almost every other creative field, this is natural. You wouldn't ever get 50 people together in a room and start trying to learn how to play the guitar in front of them. No, you would sit alone or with a teacher, you learn how to play the guitar, and then once you reached a certain level of proficiency, then you would step out in front of a crowd. Same thing with learning to play soccer or anything else. And for some reason, with writing, we just smush these two things together. We decide, I want to learn how to write, or I want to write a novel. So you just sit down and start trying to write something that you hope to publish and put out to tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. So the first thing you have to do is separate practice from performance. Practicing the skills of writing is different from performing by writing something you hope to publish. So let's dig deeper into this. So the first step is you have to be goal oriented. So every session has a specific skill you're trying to improve. You're not just sitting down and churning out words, you're sitting down and working on a particular part of writing that you're trying to get better at. You also have to have immediate expert feedback. You have to get rapid feedback in order to correct mistakes. And so many writers write for months or years without getting any expert feedback at all. Then you have to focus on weaknesses. So if you want to get better at writing, you have to deliberately work on what you're bad at, not what's easy or fun to work on. And then finally, you focus on incremental improvement. You're not trying to win or to perform, or in our case as writers, try to publish. You're just trying to get better at the skill of writing. And so the steps of deliberate practice look like this. The first thing you do is break the skill down into its individual parts. So writing, just like playing the guitar, isn't just one skill, it's actually a bunch of other little skills inside, right? So with writing, we have to learn how to write dialogue and exposition, and we have to learn how to plot, and we have to learn how character development works, and all of these individual skills. So we got to break those skills down into their individual parts. Then we specifically practice those parts. And here's the most important part of deliberate practice. You have to get expert feedback. You have to have somebody, not a peer, not another writer that doesn't know what they're doing. You have to get expert feedback. This is how you get better quickly, as you do this over and over and over as fast as you possibly can. This is why reading books, taking online courses, joining writers groups, just writing a novel and getting our words in every day doesn't work. Deliberate practice is the only thing that works to actually build the skills of a great fiction writer. You have to write something, get immediate expert feedback, then do it again and do that over and over and over. If you want to dig deeper into deliberate practice, I recommend reading Dr. Erickson's amazing book titled Peak: Secrets from the New Science of Expertise. And if you want to apply deliberate practice to your own writing, I recommend visiting storygrid.com/workshop. We've dedicated the last 10 years studying how to help writers build the skills and write a novel they are proud to publish. We are the only training that applies the scientific principles of deliberate practice to the complex art of writing. And we've changed the lives of hundreds of writers just like you. To learn more, visit storygrid.com/workshop. If this video has been helpful to you, make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. Of those 6 things I talked about, how many of those have you done to try to improve your writing? I'm going to keep doing videos like this, so make sure you subscribe. If you want to know more about me and StoryGrid, it's down in the description. I'll see you next time.